What's up everybody, welcome back to the VSO Gun Channel. Thanks for joining us here today. Today's video is another video for our new people. A lot of people have recently become firearms owners for the first time, have just come into the gun ownership community, and I was looking back at my archive and I realized that I've never actually done a dedicated clean and lube video. So that's what we're going to do here today for all our new people. And for that we're going to be using the most popular gun in America, the AR-15. Now, actually, we're not going to be cleaning this particular gun because I cleaned it last night because I needed it to run today. But what we will be doing is cleaning a comparable rifle in what we affectionately call the White Russian. This is a Mark 47 Mutant from CMMG, and the major difference between it and a standard AR-15 is that it is chambered in 7.62 by 39. And it runs off of AK-47 magazine. What I will be doing is using the standard AR-15, I'll disassemble it as well and show you the comparable parts as compared to the Mark 47 Mutant, because there are some changes. And I thought that would be a good opportunity to show everybody who has cleaned an AR before, or has some semblance of an idea of how to get it done. They'll give them something to watch. I'm not a squeaky clean person, so in any sense of my life. So I'm gonna be showing you guys basically how I would get it done to keep the gun running and keep it effectively clean, instead of that guy who shoots 10 rounds through his gun and then goes and cleans it after every range trip. This particular gun had not been cleaned for 2 years prior to the cleaning that I performed on it last night, and this gun has actually never been cleaned, and it's getting cleaned today because we had our first malfunction the other day after about 2,500 rounds of use in the last 3 months. Dude.
Did I miss?
No, it went right through.
Oh.
Go ahead and push those pins. Go ahead and separate the upper and lower. We'll come back to the lower here in just a minute. We'll just set it aside for now. And then you want to go ahead and pull on the charging handle, and you can see that the guts are starting to come out of the gun right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull on that, and there you go. There is the bolt, and here is the charging handle. And this is our first distinction that we're going to make. A big difference there in those parts. And the reason that is the Mark 47 was overbuilt for the purposes of being able to handle 7.62 by 39. And to do that, they basically use a modified 308 bolt. And to be honest, this is where the majority of your effort should be concentrated on the bolt carrier group. We're going to spend a few minutes here, and then we're going to spend a few minutes on the upper, and maybe a solid minute on the lower. And we're just going to go ahead and pull this pin out right here, this little cotter pin here on the side. Now from there, we need to remove the firing pin. Very easy to do on an AR. You just turn the thing upside down. Sometimes you may have to hit it. You see I was on the way to hitting it there. This one itself doesn't actually look too bad. It doesn't look all that dirty, and there's no real buildup on it, so I'll probably wipe it down, throw it right back in as is. As you can see, some size difference. This is the Mark 47. This is a standard AR-15 firing pin. And you can see, even after cleaning last night, I still got some buildup on this thing. The major take home here is that this gun does not need to be spotless to operate. And this, mostly clean, right like that. The next thing that we need to do is get the cam pin out. The cam pin is located right here. And basically how that thing was in there is there was a retaining pin that held the firing pin in place, and the firing pin acts as the retaining pin for the cam pin, which is the retaining and pivot point for the bolt. So now that we've done the anatomy, just push back on that ever so slightly, allow the bolt to roll to the rear, and then you're going to rotate that lug till it's in that position. Once you're in that position, you can go ahead and just lift it out, and it should slide right past the gas key on the carrier, and you may have to wobble a little bit. Goop on there just to kind of help it clean up a little bit. And that's as clean as I'm going to clean that. You can go ahead and pull the bolt out. Should come out freely. Again, this is not all that bad. We have basically the areas that you want to look at are any damage on any of the wings here on either side of the bolt. There's a hole all the way through. You need to look and see if those wings are damaged or cracked or anything like that. And then the gas rings, see if the gas rings are getting chewed up at all. And then the place of high pressure that you want to concentrate on for your cleaning is right here at the back, and there'll be a lot of carboned up material there that you should scrub off, and that's where our brass brush is going to come in. So again, we're just going to take a little bit of material, take your brass brush, Just give it a little bit of love. That's what comes off of it. So again, that is as clean as I care to get this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe down the rest of the body here with just the rag. And if it had a lot of material like caked on it, then I would probably use the brass brush on it as well. As far as comparable to the AR-15, you can see that there is, again, a size difference. I did not clean that bolt very good, it looks like. Getting at the extractor. So what we're gonna do is actually take our firing pin, wherever it went to, which is actually making me concerned that I don't see it right off the bat. You should always check your extractor when you're cleaning your gun, see if it cracked or if it chipped or anything like that. And there are 2 pins on an AR-15 bolt. One is a roll pin. You should leave that one alone. And then the one that we're going after is the takedown pin, which is literally a solid pin. We're just gonna take the firing pin, go ahead and push that in there, set it aside someplace safe where it won't roll away, and then simply lift up and the extractor should come off. Now, this is where you want to do some inspection, and you should probably do a fair amount of cleaning here. You want to look at 2 places on your extractor where they break. First is right here at the front of the lip, and it should look like a claw. It should look exactly like it's supposed to go on a casing and pull it out. The second place you want to look is right here on these 2 wings that stick up, and you can see that it's very thin metal there, but that is where the pin, the retaining pin, goes through, and that is the bearing surface for the extractor. Since we have it out, it's nice to just hit that extractor and see if we can knock anything off. It's not super important, but while we have it out, it is nice. We can also get in here and clean out any debris in the firing pin channel. To reassemble, simply just take the extractor, put it right back on there, tension it down ever so slightly, and then the same way that it came in, just take that pin and insert it right back in there. Let's move to the actual carrier body. Again, we're gonna spend very little time here, but basically what we're gonna do is take a little bit of that material that we're using to clean, just take a rag, and all we're looking to do here is really knock off any of the surface dust. These surfaces don't really matter, but it is nice to have them kind of cleaned up a little bit so that their funk can't spread to other places. The important places on the carrier to ensure are clean for proper function are located here underneath this rail, and then these 2 rails, one here and one here. This bolt body floats in the upper receiver, and those surfaces are what directly contact with the upper receiver, and those are the ones that you want to really concentrate on. The other surface that we really want to clean is inside of this hole here in the front, because that is where the bolt rides, and we want to make sure that there's not excess material in there that can impede the bolt functioning. So to do that on the Mark 47 is really easy. I'm going to take my brass brush and I'm just going to cram it in there. And I have one that I've frayed quite a bit back at the shop for a standard AR-15, and it's got a lot less bush on it, if you will. And guys, that's it. Like, that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it one more time with some goop in there to see if it helps get any extra stuff out. They do make specialized tools for this, but you don't necessarily need it. And now I'm gonna take a section of this rag, I'm gonna run it down in there, clean it out. That's all the dirt that came out, and that is reasonably clean enough. Again, we're talking like this clean that we're doing today is gonna last you 1,500 rounds. Now, reassembly time. That's where we're at. We're gonna go ahead and do everything in reverse. Go ahead and put the bolt in. Remember, the extractor needs to come out of wherever the extraction port is, and that is gonna be on the right side of the gun, so we wanna make sure that the extractor is pointing towards the right side. And we're gonna take the cam pin, drop it right back in. And actually, on the CMMG gun, the cam pin is actually not in the standard orientation. Normally it turns 90 degrees. Now that it's in the correct orientation, we just take our firing pin and drop it in. Go ahead and just take your cotter pin there, and you may have to work it around, but you can insert it right back in there. Now we're gonna go ahead and lube this thing real quick while we've got it here, and then we'll move on to the rest of the gun. I like to use oil on the carrier because it attracts less gunk if you use oil over grease. So to lube this thing, I'm just gonna put a little bit of lube there on the cam pin. I'm gonna put a little bit of lube here on the shaft of the bolt as well, and then a little bit back here in the firing pin channel, and that's it for now. Charging handle, you'll see a lot of soot in here because that is where the gas key rides, and this is how I clean. That's it. That, and then up there on top. Now moving to the upper receiver. Go ahead and flip it. So this would be the normal orientation. Flip it so that you can see down inside there, and what we're looking at is the chamber. That's where we're going next. And what we want to do is attack that with the chamber brush. Solvent, put it up inside the chamber, and you can see why that chamber brush is so effective. It is basically the shape of the chamber. So we have this thin section here that's going to run all the way up into the headspace, and then this section here that's going to be able to get into the lugs in this kind of motion, if that makes sense. The idea is just to sweep the chimney, basically, is what you're after. Some more of this goop, brass brush yet again, and just try to get in at all of those surfaces on the inside, and what we're really looking for is just to knock some of the goop off. It's not super important that this is squeaky clean. After you shoot this thing 5 or 6 times, you know, a magazine, something like that, this thing is gonna be filthy again. I'm gonna do exactly what you guys think I'm gonna do. Some people that like sit there with squeaky clean guns that never shoot are gonna lose their mind over this. Now by doing that, the whole back half is clean. Everything before, like in this section, that's clean. And I'm just gonna take this, go inside, stick it up inside the chamber, sweep any of the chips out that came from using the brass brush. And guys and gals, that upper receiver is as clean as it needs to be. We're gonna go ahead and break into our Occam Lube kit here. And this is a grease one. Take your carrier, put it into the gun, and look at where the rails run. So this surface here, that surface there, these surfaces on top. You wanna find those, and a real quick and dirty way to do it, if you're not entirely sure about how to do it inside the gun, just take your charging handle, put it in, a bead of grease there, a bead of grease there, a bead of grease there, and a bead of grease there. Once you work this gun a whole bunch of times, all that grease will get properly distributed. That's all to the lower. Do not drop the hammer. Hold down on the trigger, or on the hammer, excuse me, pull the trigger and let it fall slowly. This is for demonstration purposes. Do not do this. That is bad. That is a steel hammer hitting an aluminum receiver. If you do it too many times, you'll see it start to chip this out right here up front, and eventually it can cause it to crack. Using some of our goop in here, we're just gonna hit like the disconnector and some of the other components in there. This is, again, not a detailed clean. If we were doing a detailed clean, we would take all these parts out, sweep all that stuff out. The guns here at VSO get approximately 1 detail clean a year. And we shoot a lot. So we're just gonna hit that right back there, hit up inside there wherever we can get to. We don't need to take the components out or anything like that. We just want to kind of moss it up a little bit so that any deposits that have been sitting there for a long period of time can get broken up. They can move out of the way, be less gritty long term. Again, with the rag, here we go. I'm just gonna go in, get everything, all the soot that we just stirred up. And then the last thing we're gonna do, right here on the back, there is a detent. We're going to push that. Out comes the buffer and spring. No lubrication goes on this. None whatsoever. There's grease that's gotten in it. You can see it's a little bit shiny. That tells me that over the course of its life, we got grease in this thing. We're just gonna take our rag. All we're trying to do is sweep some of the soot out of there. Give it a press. It should retain itself. And we can take that, run it right back up inside there. And guys and gals, this gun is ready to rock and roll. Well, guys and gals, that's our quick and dirty on how to clean and lube an AR-15. I hope that you found it interesting and informative. If you are a new person, we are happy that you are here. We are happy that you're seeking out information on the things that you are purchasing. and that you are becoming a more responsible American. So if you are new, please sound off in the comment section down below. We welcome you. Also, if you would feel so inclined, if you would like to support the channel, you can on our Patreon and Subscribestar pages. We greatly appreciate your support. We don't expect it, but every little bit does help. If you're not new to firearms, or if you're not new here, I greatly appreciate you guys sticking around to this point in the video. And I just want to state for more advanced users, this is, again, a field clean. Remember, there's a lot of information out there on the internet freaking people out about how much maintenance they need to put into these things. I shoot tens of thousands of rounds a year through guns like these. This is how I clean my guns, and this is how they continue to run on a regular basis, yet I don't have to spend 2 hours on a detailed clean every time I go out and need to use a firearm. So anyway, that's all for us. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you guys on a future video.